The reason you procrastinate is not absence of discipline, lack of motivation, or all of these factors the internet convinces you to believe is responsible for that negative action. It's not all of that. And this is one of the problems I have complained bitterly I have with the internet and all of these false gurus. They hear one concept and every single person is doxing on that solution to that problem. So if they hear a problem and someone highlights a solution, every single person start pulling thread, adding personal anecdotes to that solution. When probe deeper on that subject, you notice they are only regurgitating what they heard somewhere. But because of something I call the halo effect, they've so cultured a following such that the personal anecdotes is enough to blind the followers. This is pure regurgitation. The concepts I present to you today are very unique. It's never been said in this way. This is one of the first time it's going to be used. And if you hear it somewhere else, it validates my initial points. But one of the reasons behind your procrastination is you have failed so much in that activity. So you're no longer avoiding that activity, you're avoiding failure. If it's you I just described, and before I move on, I want you to see and examine yourself, excuse me, through this lens, through the first lens. You have so failed in that activity, procrastination becomes the only way to avoid that experience. The first thing we should touch on is failure. And before we move on to failure, let's quickly highlight the subconscious. So the mind watches your every word. The mind watches how you interact with people. The mind watches and observes how you interact with certain situations. So if you see failure as a person as opposed to an event, the mind is going to make sure you never experience that kind of emotion. So what better way to isolate you from that experience than procrastination? So procrastination is not a lack of motivation or the absence of discipline. Of course, there are people who are plagued with those factors, but the people I'm speaking to today are people who have been consistent in a certain endeavor. If you've not started your journey, if you're still trying as hard as possible to wake up, to stay, then this is not for you. I'm talking about people who have made significant progress, people who have actually taken the time to make effort and structuring their life and destiny. Those are the ones who are susceptible to this kind of experience. Failure as an event as opposed to a person. I've spoken on perception. Perception determines your life literally. And if you keep perceiving failure as a negative thing, as opposed to an indicator of success, because failure preludes success. For you to win, you have to lose. Either sleep, sacrifice things, a lot of emotional pressure. But for you to win, you have to lose. For you to be successful, you need to fail. Because it's the process, the refining process, the feedback that failure gives. You learn, you iterate. Failure, failure, failure. Isn't it funny? When it's time to do that activity, the job of the cleaner becomes alluring. The two shirts in the laundry basket is due for washing. The dish you never use, you want to wash. So all of these constant factors to prevent you from actually doing the thing. It's not the thing you're scared of, it's the results, the negative results that comes from doing that thing. Use the word negative because the end product is not usually seen at the beginning or at the middle. Say football for instance, or you are an aspiring speaker. You start up a YouTube channel, you're posting consistently, yet no one is there to applaud. It becomes very difficult for you to continue. It becomes difficult for you to keep on the consistency mark. Which leads us to number two. Majority procrastinates as a consequence of little to no feedback from their efforts. Little to no feedback from your efforts can lead to procrastination. For instance, I'm doing this video, or some of my videos I did at 3 p.m. or I'm doing this video now by 3 p.m. Why am I doing the video by 3 p.m.? Because previously there is little to no encouragement on this channel, and as a consequence I prioritize other activities over this, although this is one of the most important jobs of my day. Procrastination. Procrastination. Why am I procrastinating? There is no 2,000 people waiting for this video. So that was the mindset behind my procrastination, which is not the case. I've made it clear countlessly, and I'll say it again. I'm prepared to die than to not see my results materialize in this life. I'm prepared to die. I'm prepared to do this till I get married. I'm prepared to do this for 30 years. I do not care if I do not see results. I'll rather die knowing that I gave it my all. I'd rather die knowing I gave it my best. I'd rather become an old man knowing I gave every single thing to become a success than to be that guy who gives up quickly. And if this is something you're interested in, there's a video I made recently, error of commission and error of omission. It should be around 2 to 3 days ago, or maybe just yesterday. But it's something you're interested in. In this video, I talk about the two kinds of errors, the error of commission and the error of omission. So what the error of commission states, error of commission is the failure that comes from taking action, while error of omission is the pain that comes from inaction. So majority of the time we dwell on the error of commission as opposed to omission. It is easy to recount making a fool of yourself in a public discourse. But what is the alternative? Wondering whether chipping the idea would have been received by your superiors, further precipitating your employment status or your promotion status. You're promoted. Now you have tons of finances. That finances improves your relationship. It attracts the best quality of partner. You have a good partner. Your relationship lasts long. You have beautiful kids. You are in an environment that encourages productivity. That's how you're going to be seeing it 10, 20 years down the line. So instead of focusing on the negative experience, the error of commission, focus on the alternative. Had I not done this, what would be the outcome? Exactly. But that's not the discourse of tonight. We're talking about procrastination. Engaging in that activity you're supposed to do becomes so crushing. It becomes very difficult to engage in that activity because you've perceived it from the standpoint you're giving every single thing, little to no results. Sorry, I'm checking if my mic is still on. If you've heard my story, I used to use a fucked up device plus in an environment that doesn't encourage productivity. So now I'm well off. Now I'm financially stable. I'm financially well off. I still have PTSD of those times I would record and after shouting and motivating people, The universe rewards me by it not recording, or the mic turned off. So all of these instances that would try and test my patience, of which I passed in flying colors. But the effort or the consecration demands as touching your goals becomes very difficult. It becomes twice as difficult because of lack of little to no results. I heard this quote that pursuing your dreams in the middle takes half the effort and twice the emotional support. And anybody, like I said, if you're still struggling to get your shit together, or you are still trying to motivate yourself to take action, then this is not the video for you. I'm talking to that guy who has given every single thing. I'm talking to that person who has actually gone to the arena and raised the dust. You would notice at that point of your career, it requires half the effort and twice the emotional effort, twice the emotional support. Let me give you an instance. At the infancy of my career, I needed to read books, I needed to script content. Nowadays, I just get my point, get my objective, turn on the camera, and I'm good to go. But why don't I do it previously? Why don't I do it? Twice the emotional support. I'm doing this thing and it's not working. So I have to impute twice the emotional support with half the effort. If there's anything you're doing, I truly want you to believe. I'm rooting for you. I truly believe it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time before you too become a success. And as always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.